Hey guys, welcome back to some more reviews. The Explorer of Horror here. Honestly, it's been a long time since I made a video, and I'm just gonna go ahead and wing this one. And I wanted to come back, but I didn't know what film to come back and discuss. Um, like what would be the film that I would return with and do a review on. And I figured that since I had seen this movie recently and I had thoroughly enjoyed it, and I've already done live streams about it. I talked about it with Colton, talked about it on live streams plenty of times. I wanted to get on here and actually shoot a review for it, do it old school, and try to get back to doing some more movie reviews for you guys. Now, I'm not going to get on here and guarantee all kinds of videos. I'm going to try and get back into it, but I'm definitely here to try and do my best to make as many videos as I can whenever I can. And today's review, the return of the reviews, is on Evil Dead Rise. Now, Evil Dead Rise, of course, came out this year. It gets a 6.8 on IMDb, directed by Lee Cronin, who's blowing up as of recently. I mean, he's becoming one of the new favorite directors out there. I've heard his name brung up for many other projects, future projects, and he's looking to become the next big name in horror, which is great. I mean, we do need new names in horror. I like Ari Aster. Don't love his films, but, don't hate him. I'm a big fan of the director of The Witch. I think it's Edgar Wright is the director of The Witch. I'm going to check on that real quick. But I'm pretty sure it is Edgar Wright. And this movie really surprised me. I remember seeing trailers for this for a while, honestly. For a long while. Robert Eggers. I don't know why I said Edgar Wright. I think Edgar Wright's the comedy director, right? Wow, I can't believe I said that. Guys, I'm a little rusty at this, so just give me a break here. But I'm pretty sure Edgar Wright is like a comedy director. But, yeah, he is. He's directed Shaun of the Dead and stuff. Sorry about that, but Robert Eggers, I'm a big fan of him. And yeah, this movie had me worried for a minute, honestly, because I heard about it a long time ago. It seems like I heard about this like a year or two ago. And nothing came back. It was kind of floating around. There was little murmurs here and there of things happening with it. And then all of a sudden we got a poster. And I remember everybody was saying, oh, the poster trying to be like Smile, which I don't understand. I didn't see it. Maybe when people bring it up, I'm like, well, yeah, because she's smiling and everything. Maybe the obvious thing is why people are saying that. But it's just like, to me, I was like, I don't know. I didn't really see the big deal with the poster. And then the teaser came out, and then the trailers came out, and honestly, I watched one trailer, and I was done. Because they showed so much in that trailer. It was insane. I will say the marketing team, I don't know what they were thinking with putting that much footage of the film in the trailer. And so I refused to watch any more trailers. Even in the theater, if the trailer was going on, I was on my phone. I was trying to not see any more trailers or any more footage. I wanted to go into this movie as blind as possible. Which was very difficult. There were a lot of things that I knew about. And by the way, this review will contain spoilers. It's been out for a minute. Been out for 2 months almost. So if you haven't seen it yet, go watch it. This review will contain spoilers. So I'm going to get that out of the way. But the blood elevator scene, I knew about that. A couple of the other stuff in the movie that they tried to be shocking with. They showed it in the trailer. And I will say, one of the worst marketing teams or marketing tactics. I really don't know what was going on with that. They showed so much of the film. But Evil Dead Rise, going back to basics. The story, you basically start the movie out with these teens out at this lake, and you're thinking like, okay, where's the high rise? This is back at a cabin. What's going on here? And we're seeing someone get their scalp ripped off, and someone getting their head ripped off, and a really cool shot of the Deadite floating and the Evil Dead logo coming up behind it. One of the most badass opening title scenes I've seen. It's really cool looking. And then we get into the story where there are these two sisters. One of them is a mother, and she's like a single mother raising these kids in this apartment, this high rise. And the other sister, she's pregnant. She's sort of working as an audio engineer, I think, for a band. And she goes there to talk to her sister and figure out, should she keep the baby? What should she do? And while she's there, of course, the evil force comes back through records. One of the characters finds these records that have the incantations on them. And the Evil Dead is back. And basically it's carnage and mayhem in this high-rise apartment building. And that's about as much as I want to get into the plot right now. There's a couple more things I want to bring up here later in the review, but that's pretty much the gist of the plot. You got deadites, you got blood, you got mayhem. And honestly, this movie, I will say, I don't like it as much as some of the other Evil Dead movies. If I had to do a comparison, the first one's a bit better, the second one's a bit better, the remake I like better. And the theater experience wasn't as crazy as the remake. I will say that. Those are the two things that I kind of noticed, where I was like, not as good as some of the other ones, and also, as a theater experience, it wasn't as crazy as the remake. Of course, some of you guys know about when I went and seen the Evil Dead remake. I mean, just how crazy that theater was. I mean, it was really the best and most fun I've had in a theater ever. Still to this day, the most fun time I've had to go watch a movie, because there was so much risk to it, and I was like, man, I don't know, it's a risk to make an Evil Dead remake, and oh no, are they gonna mess this up? And there were so many bad remakes that were already out at the time, and going and seeing that remake and it being as good as it was, and leaving as satisfied as I was. And just being in there for everyone freaking out and running, and people just covering their eyes and screaming, and popcorn going everywhere. Just the utter insanity that a horror film should be, that you really don't see in a lot of theaters nowadays. I mean, if you go to watch a horror movie nowadays, you're not going to see people freaking out and going crazy. So it's a very rare thing in horror. So that was definitely missing from this one. It wasn't as many reactions or as crazy as the remake was, as far as the theater experience. But yeah, I really enjoyed this movie. I know it's been getting it started out getting great reviews, but as of late, it's been getting a lot of flack and a lot of newer things said about it. I know a lot of people are starting to say it's generic and lazy, and it's a safe Evil Dead movie. I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. I went into it without super high expectations. You gotta do that sometimes with these newer horror films, or just horror films, or just films in general. Sometimes we go into these movies with our standards so high that if you lower it a bit, it'll kind of soften the blow, you know? And there's plenty of examples where I went into a movie with really high expectations and the movie just didn't deliver. But then there were times where I went in and had lowered expectations, and the movie blew me away. The Night House. I went and seen that, didn't know anything about it, wasn't sure about it. Ended up being one of my favorite horror films from that year. I have a Blu-ray of it on my shelf. The Witch. The Menu is a recent one I've seen. The Menu. I seen the trailer for it, and I was like, oh my god, it's so stupid. Why are they making that? But finally watching the movie, really good film. Really, really good film. And this one, to me, was still fun. It was still entertaining. Much more going back to the basics of the first movie. Not really doing all the craziness of Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness. Just trying to dial it back down to basic horror. Which is not a bad play, in my opinion. Because Evil Dead is always trying to go farther and farther and farther. And I feel like even the TV show went as far as you can go. I mean, go watch the TV show. TV show has Ashy Slashy, the puppet, going around biting people and stuff, and Ash being pulled through someone's ass and shit everywhere. I'm not kidding you. This shit's in the show. Both metaphorically and actually in the show. There is Ash covered in shit. But anyways, this movie does not really do that craziness of Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness. It's not trying to do that zany, weird comedy. And I kind of dug that. I like how it's going back to trying to be brutal again, trying to maybe not be as brutal as the remake, but still trying to have a bit of a punch to this movie. There are a lot of scenes that I really enjoyed. The characters I really enjoyed. I think all the actors did a good job in this movie. The family was very likable. They were a good family. The arc of the sister who's not sure if she wants to be a mom, and throughout the movie she ends up protecting these kids and finding out that yes, she wants to be a mom. I thought the way the movie was filmed, the cinematography and atmosphere was nailed. I thought it had a good look to it. I enjoyed the idea of a high rise. I enjoyed the fact they were trying to be a bit different with this movie. There are certain scenes that I think are really crazy. There's a scene where one of the kids is like eating glass. They're possessed by a deadite and they're eating glass and spitting bugs out, and it's just real hard to watch. I enjoyed the fun idea of Staffney, this like staff that one of the kids makes. They turn into a weapon that stabs one of the deadites. Staffney, that was a fun idea. This is another criticism I heard about, a very big one, is people were saying that the whole wraparound thing was weird, and how, why would you start a movie with that and then have it wrap around? There's so many films that do that. There's so many movies that have done that. And honestly, I thought it was creative in this movie. It was different. Once again, it was different. And I didn't mind the idea of them doing a wraparound. I thought it wasn't that out there of an idea. I didn't mind it. The only thing, and this I guess we can get into the problems, but once again I want to say good effects. If the CG's there, it looks good. I liked bits of the score. We'll get into that also with the problems, but I like bits of the score. Direction, cinematography, acting, some good horror sequences, fun energy, fun time, very short movie. And to get into problems, though, I do feel like the movie doesn't really have a good ending. It just sort of ends. There's a lot of things left on the table, obviously setting up for a sequel. Obviously, they're wanting to do a sequel. And there's a lot of things left on the table, a lot of things that aren't answered. Nothing really comes to closure except for the main deadites being killed. And you're kind of wondering, okay, they mentioned 3 books. This is one of them. Are the other 2 from the other movies or the other books in this universe? Don't know. A lot of things, it just sort of ends. And that's my problem with the way that it has the third act structured, is that it just kind of ends without really anything answered. Thought that was a bit weird, a bit lazy. They could have tied things together a bit better. I do think there are times where it could have been a bit more brutal. There's times where they try to build suspense, and I'll be honest, Sam Raimi nailed that, but in this movie, they're trying to build the suspense, trying to have the slow build for the suspense. I don't really think it's nailed very good in this movie. There's times where it's real slow, and you're just kind of like, alright, let's go. Suspense really isn't too well done. There's not a lot of tension to the movie, which is shocking, because this is Evil Dead, and there's not a lot of tension to this movie. Most of the movie's craziness is the gore. But there's no, like, tension. The remake had that where it was just like, ooh, just the suspense of certain scenes and the way the build-up was done. Even in the first movie, it was well done. Just doesn't really have that very much in this movie. And, yeah, I think there is a problem with that. Again, they have the high-rise idea, but they really don't utilize it that much in this film. The high-rise setting is there, but there's a lot they could have done. I mean, how they had this elevator, they set it to be this sort of evil elevator. You could have had as crazy of an idea as it is. It works in Evil Dead. The elevator trying to eat people. Why not? It's Evil Dead, go wild. Or the finale should have been the rooftop. Why was it in the garage? You have the finale in the garage. The obvious thing, put it on the rooftop. Have the finale on the rooftop. There was a couple things where I was like, man, they could have utilized other apartments and having more and more deadites show up, and maybe the walls are bleeding, and just craziness. And On one hand, people say that the budget was small. Hold up now. Before we start saying all that, the original Evil Dead had probably one of the lowest budgets in film history. I mean, in all honesty, it did. And look at how much they accomplished with that movie. So to say the low budget thing, I can understand to a degree, but at the same time, I'm over here like, look at what the original did. And this movie doesn't really do a whole lot of that craziness. So I felt like the craziness could have been pushed a bit farther. There were maybe a few more things they could have done with the concept of the movie. But overall, Evil Dead Rise, to get to the bottom point of this movie, I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was a fair, well-done movie. Gives you what you want from Evil Dead. You want some craziness. You want some carnage. You want some insanity. It's not as gory as the other ones. It's not as good as the first two or the remake. But I do think I would give it a solid 3.5 out of 5. Possibly a 4. I think I give it a 4, honestly. It was really well done. It was fun, entertaining, fast-paced. Really enjoyed it. But yeah, overall, I really enjoyed Evil Dead Rise. But anyways, I want to hear your guys' thoughts on this movie in the comments below. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Let me know in the comments below. And we'll have a discussion about Evil Dead Rise. But anyways, guys, that's going to be it for my return review. It's good to be back. But anyways, guys, the Explorer 4 is finally back. Thank you guys so much for watching the review. And we'll see you guys later. Explorer 4 is out. See you guys in the next one.